So today's talk is that you are already awakened and that it can be proved. Before we start though, I would just like to say that the awakened means so many different things for different people, and so the way in which we're going to use the word awaken today is more from the sense of a recognition that is not only by the mind but partly by the mind. So you can have all different types of awakenings. You can have awakenings where it's energetical. You can have the everything awakening where you realize, but not intellectually but energetically, where you go into everything and it's like the love awakening. You can have the emptiness awakening where you go back and back and back and disappear into absolutely nothingness. And then you can have this awakening where it's sort of by the mind and sort of not. So you're beginning to really get close to who you are. It's really beginning to open up. There is, you're beginning to touch on the nothingness of who you are, but it's still by the mind that recognizes it. But that is really phenomenal. That is a huge thing, and I would definitely call that an awakening. So the way in which this is provable is by examining experience. So examining what your experience is. So in this experience now, is there perception happening? Is there something which is perceiving? In order for there to be experience, there has to be something that's perceiving. There has to be a fundamental quality of consciousness in order for this to happen. There has to be something, we're saying thing, but then we can break that down, but there has to be something which is apparently experiencing. And that is the key. The person is always looking in thought and imagination. So even when I say that, it's still looking normally at it from a place of imagination. You're imagining yourself as conscious, or you're imagining God as conscious, or you're imagining something as conscious. And that is not the truth. That's not what we're talking about. However, you can start there by imagining yourself or something as conscious, a thing, a position as conscious. But what we're trying to point to is direct experience, that in this experience there is perception, there is consciousness that's happening. And in that, there is a play of thoughts, of feelings, of ideas, of colours, of the world, of things, of places, of people, of names. And that play isn't who you are. In one way you could say it is who you are, because everything is you, but it's not who you are, as in you are not somebody that's found in that. You are not a thing that is found in that. But in the experience, perception is always happening. You can never not have perception. You can never not have consciousness. There's always consciousness, no matter what. always consciousness. You cannot escape it. In the morning when you wake up, you think that you wake up, and you name it as I woke up in the morning, whereas actually there was consciousness even in deep sleep, but what actually woke up in the morning was the dream of you, was the illusion of you. And this dream of you then has an idea about its life, what it's going to get through time, what it's going to do, that it's going to awaken. But that person never awakens. That person is a daydream happening. What's seemingly awakening and what is provable is that which is beyond the person, that which is in every experience, this consciousness. Do you ever have an experience without consciousness? Consciousness is the fundamental in every experience, awake presence. You cannot run away from it, you cannot fly to the moon and get away from consciousness. You cannot switch consciousness off, but yet the person can come and go, and the person's suffering can come and go. So this is what's already awakened. This is what's in you that is awake. This conscious perception that is. And that never falls asleep. What falls asleep is the person. So most people are trying to fix the person, are trying to awaken the person and get somewhere in the personal world. But that person is always a dream happening. So what is it that's here, free, now, in the experience, that's not coming and going, that's not dreaming? And there can be this recognition where it's sort of by the mind, but it's also you're falling more and more back into what you are. So there's also something else which is awakening as it begins to be recognized. But this is fundamental and huge to recognize this, that there is an awake presence all the time that never leaves. What comes and goes is you. And this awake presence never dies. It can never be killed, it can never be murdered, it can never be hurt by somebody's words. And it's what looks out through all objects. The character is not alive, the character is not experiencing. So when you talk to me or when you talk to someone else, you're imagining somebody actually there, but what you're actually talking to is this pure consciousness. So you're talking to yourself, consciousness is talking to consciousness. And this is the freedom. It's the waking up. And then there's apparent different stages to this waking up, where you awaken to the nothingness, and then you awaken to the fullness. And the fullness is energetical. The nothingness is energetical too, but the fullness is really energetical, where you expand back into everything. But this is one of the first awakenings. Or maybe you can't even say first, but this is a fundamental awakening, where you are already awake. Who's actually perceiving these words is consciousness. The character, the body-mind, is an interpreter of sounds, interpreter of sights. It's not actually experiencing. It's a video recorder or a microphone. It's not the one actually listening. So what you are is so close to you. The freedom that you look for, that you're seeking for, is so close to you. It's in the looking. It's in perception. It's in this. And you've never escaped it. So there's been the dream of suffering. There's been the dream of losing it. But you've never lost it. It's always here. It's right here in experiencing. God is in the last place that you'd ever think of, in the experiencing. Isn't that crazy? The person and humanity are always looking in objects, in time and in imagination, whereas what's being pointed to is beyond imagination. Imagination appears and disappears in it. This is total freedom. This is all that's wanted. So are you awake? Yes. Have you always been awake? Yes. Is there always awakeness? Yes. Is there always freedom? Yes. The illusion, though, is the attachment and the belief that you are an imagination in time, an imagination of a body, an imagination of somebody moving in time. That's not who you are. This is so free, it almost feels unbearable, because it's so free, but only free here, not free in daydream, right here, right now. Nisargadatta says, when consciousness meets beingness, so when the personal awareness stops daydreaming and stops being attached to the person in time and comes back to beingness, comes back to the I am, comes back to presence, then this is when Ananda happens, bliss happens. When you truly meet yourself, it's like the two opposites, the feminine and the masculine meet. And then here we are in bliss, together as one.